So why are first impressions so important?
I think first impressions are your opportunity to actually show a little bit about who you are. So for example, walking down the hall, you never know if those are the people you're supposed to meet or not, right? And you can easily look slumped, you can frown, you can have a bad attitude about something or some dilemma that you've experienced in the day, but that shows, that's a very outward kind of impression that you're making. And we are attracted to the people that we think would be friendly or easy to talk to or happy or shining in some way. And so we often forget that that's the kind of impression that we're making whether or not we intend to. So I always believe that when you're walking around, you're constantly making impressions. And those can be repaired later, but then it takes more work to make up for it.
Right.
Okay. So, well, I guess you kind of answered that one. All right. So what is the 30-second pitch?
Your 30-second pitch is the way that you actually introduce yourself. Really common when it comes to job fairs or any kind of setting where you have the chance to meet multiple people. But it's a very fluid way to describe who you are, what you need, and what you might want from that particular relationship.
Could you give us an example of one then?
Sure. So my name is Vicki Klapsch. I have a background in fundraising and development. I currently manage a volunteer program because I love helping other people network. In terms of my future, I would look to have more opportunities for growth in that kind of area, but staying within program development.
So basically you say like your name, your history, like what you're skilled in and what you want.
Mm-hmm. So it's very much it's also called an elevator pitch, which means you should be able to introduce yourself and give someone a good idea of who you are in an elevator, right? So from the first floor to the 11th floor, you should be able to say that. And I've actually done that with my interns to help them practice describing the mentoring program, because it's sometimes a mouthful and we stumble a lot because we're looking for that perfect way of saying it. But it's really just a way of introducing who you are to make it memorable for the person that's hearing it.
Okay, cool.
Okay. Alright, so we're going to go back to the handshake thing.
Okay.
Alright, so what does a good handshake say about someone?
It exudes confidence, and it exudes the ability to actually build a relationship. And that sounds kind of odd, but if someone gives you a very loose handshake, there is a connotation of a weak personality behind that. Mm-hmm. So it's almost like you have to hold out a hand to help them,
right,
rather than feeling like you can just jump right into the conversation. Mm-hmm. So a nice firm handshake actually opens the door to conversation and lets you know that this person is ready to engage in that.
Caitlin and I both play tennis, and we always have to shake hands with the opponent, and you know, some of the girls just kind of...
Right. Yep, women do that. It's a big tendency in women, and they want to be dainty about it, and I think you can still be feminine and you can still be a fantastic woman, but you still have to exude that level of confidence, so you don't want to crunch hands. And a lot of men, conversely, reach in and they just want to rip your wrists off of their arms, and you don't want to do that either. You want to be very respectful of that person. And a good way, I think, is to actually just mimic the way the person is holding your hand, especially in terms of recruiting scenarios, because that person's in charge, right? So you just want to learn from what they're doing and try to mirror that kind of handshake.
How do you approach employers and make a lasting impression?
I approach employers with a lot of respect. So the first thing is to make sure that you have an invitation for that conversation. And I think that is a really great first impression. You're showing a level of confidence that says, I want to talk to you, I'm curious to learn more about what you have to say. But you're also giving them the freedom to say now's not a very good time, and you're not making them feel stuck in that. And the lasting impression really is about how you close that conversation. So whether or not you have reiterated what your interest is in the position, which is actually something a lot of people forget. They forget to ask for the job at the end of an interview, which is something we hear from our employers a lot. But there's also, again, the handshake, the ability to do it all very fluidly. Many people tend to fumble, or they get nervous at the end, or they don't have their words under control, so they try to speak too fast, or they speak really softly so they're not understood as well. And if you say everything solidly and with confidence, then you walk away and people tend to remember you afterwards.
Okay.
Good.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you.
You're welcome. Very nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Let's go.
Okay. Nice to meet you.